it's Brittany. So, today will be a popcorn chat video, and today we'll be discussing Halloween. And yes, I know we're in March, the month of spring, but I just thought, why not talk about Halloween, even though we're not exactly near Halloween, but that's okay. So, Halloween, of course, as we know, is directed by John Carpenter, and he also did the music for Halloween as well. And I think that's very impressive. I'm not sure how he came up with the music, but once I look upon, fun facts about it, and then I'll know. But for those who do know, leave in a comment below. I would like to know. So, Halloween, as we all know, is this classic horror movie that John Carpenter ever made, directed, I think, throughout his directing career. And, it's just one of those movies that everyone just loves. And I know there's some who either like it or don't like it, but it just depends. So I have seen Halloween at least a few times, and I would say, yeah, it definitely has this tone, like this very eerie, uneasy tone where you just see Michael Myers there, and yet he's kind of like following them, although we don't really see him following them, but he's just like watching them where they're going, and that's just so creepy. And of course, Jamie Lee Curtis, she did so well with her performance as Laurie Strode in this movie, and yeah, she's known to be as a scream queen, no doubt. So yeah, she does so well, and I can really see why this movie is just loved by horror fans. And I'm pretty sure there might be horror fans who don't maybe love this movie and think it's maybe alright, but to them there's some other movies that they consider maybe better for them. But like I said, it depends. Although with me, I would say, now I'm not a fan of the Halloween franchise, but I would say I will watch them, you know? And yes, I do find the story and the whole thing of Michael Myers, I do find it very scary though, and unsettling, because the way he is presented, even in the first one and the other movies, is that he is not normal. He's not this normal human being. He's not even mortal. Because what he's presented as, that he is immortal. Like, he's this, I don't know what, but he is this immortal being that just can't be killed no matter what you do. And I find that crazy, you know? So it's just crazy. And I think what's also creepy is the way he walks, when he's like slowly walking, but then you're running. So, and if you're trying to find a way to escape, but yet he's still gonna come after you, and he's so slowly walking towards your way. So it's like, even the slow walking thing, that's just creepy. And I would say the costume for Michael Myers suits him well, and it really gives off this vibe that you don't know who this is. Like, is this human? Is this not? Because he's wearing what looks like a blue jumpsuit and a mask. And believe it or not, and for those who also know, is that this mask is actually a Captain Kirk mask from Star Trek. So it's pretty much William Shatner's face of the mask because of him playing Captain Kirk in Star Trek. So they used that mask, but then I think they painted over to make it look creepy. So, and that's how that mask also became iconic in within the, not just the Halloween franchise, but also within the horror community. So, yeah, and I think the way they did it doesn't make it look recognizable as a William Shatner, Star Trek mask. It just makes it look completely unrecognizable. It makes it look like it has this look, like, okay, this is Michael Myers' face. Maybe not his actual face, but this is what he looks like from what we see and how we see him when he wears the mask. And why we don't really see his face, I don't know. But I think we do see what he really looks like for a brief moment in the first one. But then I think in the other movies, we just don't really get to see his face. Why? Is it because maybe it's just one of those things where it's like his face has to be kept hidden because we can't see what he looks like, and therefore his face has to remain completely hidden, especially when he has the mask on. So that itself is like, okay, well, this is no secret though, because we see what he looks like, even just for a brief moment in the first. So, yeah. And the song that we hear, I think when he's following, because he's actually driving a car. And I think that's another weird thing too. Bleh. I'm sorry. That's another weird thing too, is that now when he's slow walking, that's creepy. But in the first one, we see him driving. He's driving because he's actually driving behind Laurie and her friend, because I think they're driving ahead, and so he's driving behind them, like following them. And the song that we hear playing is Don't Fear the Reaper. So, and that's a good song though. I actually like that song. But we hear that song, and funny enough, we also hear that song in the part in Scream where Billy visits Sydney in her bedroom. But anyway, so yeah, I think there's some little details of Halloween been hinted in Scream as well. So that I have not noticed before, but I have heard of that. So yeah, so the costume of Michael Myers with a blue jumpsuit and the mask itself, I would just say it really just says Michael Myers. It does. And that just suits his character very well because it's very, like, it has this blank expression and it has this very ominous tone to it, of the movie. And he has been called the boogeyman, and I can see why, because there's just something very off-putting about him. There's just something very unnatural about him, and I think better yet, there's something supernatural about him. He's immortal, and my question is, how did he become immortal? Did he join a cult? And I think in one of those movies, what was it? I think it was either 4? No, 5? I'm trying to think. I think it was either showed. I think it was part five. I think it was either part five that showed. Where I think he was involved some kind of a cult, and that's why he's immortal, where he can't be killed. And what I've heard is that each time he kills someone, he becomes stronger. Like he becomes like this really strong immortal, like more stronger, than a human being. So it's like, okay, and that whole thing too about the cult thing in part five, that doesn't quite make sense to me. I might have to watch it again because I'm just like confused about that. And if I remember correctly, he has a niece, but I think in the newer movies, I think they somehow, I think they scratched the idea, or they didn't want him to be related to Jamie Lee Curtis, to her character. And I think if she's not his sister, then that means that that little girl is not his niece either, I think. I feel like the timeline is a little bit confusing, but this is the first one here, so yeah. But I would say John Carpenter, he did very well with Halloween, and not just how he directed the movie, but with everything else, including this eerie music as well. So even the music itself became iconic within the Halloween franchise, and with horror fans who just grew to love it, and I can see why. And like I said, even though I'm not a Halloween fan myself, but I'll still watch the movies because I still find it in a way, I can still watch it and be scared and be entertained, but I don't like the death scenes. And another thing, and yeah, that's another thing too, is that there might be some, there might be a lot of people who like certain death scenes when it comes to horror movies. Although with me, I don't like death scenes, especially when it comes to the good characters when they get killed off. So suddenly it's like, no, like, why do you gotta do that? That's just, no, why? So I don't like death scenes, especially when it comes to killing off good characters that I hope to see, and now we won't see them again. It's like, okay, I wasn't ready to say goodbye, but yet here it is, bye. And yeah, I think I just don't like death scenes in general, like not just horror movies, but even in other genre, like in any genre of movies at all. Especially when it comes to the good character, no, it makes me sad. But I would say when it comes to a death scene to a villain, it depends. I think it depends whether if I feel bad for the villain or not. I know that sounds mean, but I'm just being honest about that. Um, but I will say this though, that now, real quick, I just want to say I did watch Halloween Ends recently. I think, what was it? I think 3 days ago? Yeah, it was Friday. So, it was on Amazon Prime, so I got to watch it. And, ugh, I didn't like the death scenes in that either. But, in a way, I'm glad to say that Michael Myers finally met his end. Now, I'm not gonna say how, but the way it showed. Now, at first I was like, okay, wow, that is just, ugh, that is beyond, disgusting, and beyond, it was quite brutal, but I thought, okay, you know what? In a way, I think he had it coming. He deserved it because he took away so many innocent characters. He took their lives away, and yet he was like this ruthless monster, you know. And because of that, it's like, well, he had it coming. So that was that. But yes, I will say I do like Halloween. And of course I'll watch it like I'll watch it when I want to. But yeah, I still like the performances, and I think they all did a great job. And the music is quite good, quite eerie, and everything else is just like, wow, I can see why this became so loved by horror fans and became so iconic, you know, from the Michael Myers mask to the character of him and Laurie Strode and the music and just everything else. So I can see why, you know, definitely. So, hope you enjoyed this popcorn chat, this fun movie discussion on Halloween. And funny enough, I'm wearing spiderwebs, except heart spiderwebs. So anyway, hope you enjoyed this, and let me know if you're a Halloween fan and you know what you think of it, you know, of the first one. That's all for today, and I'll see you at the movies.